Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Councilmember Pritchard.
Present.
Councilmember Gabbett. Present. Councilmember Spears. Councilmember Wilbur.
Present.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Councilmember Harbolt.
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy is asked to be excused, for he's on vacation. I entertain a motion to excuse.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Kennedy is excused. Approval of the agenda. There are a couple minor adjustments here. And then anything else from council we can change as well. On 10B, the service agreement with Control Freak, you'll see an updated quote, if nothing's changed except the date, because it did say 60 days from the date and we're past the 60 days, so they just sent us a new one. So we'll use that in its place. And then 10C, also page 4, starting at page 82, but page 4 of the agreement, the procurement assistance agreement. There was just a minor change there on page 4. And the change was, you'll see it in red on the document in front of you, and we can talk about that, but that will replace the page 4 that I can take a step in. Any other changes or additions?
Move to approve the changes.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I guess can I also give a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Say that.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Agenda approved as amended. Opportunity now for interested citizen comments. Audience who are online. I see one hand up from Diane Nichols. We'll go ahead and hear from you. We'll unmute you. If you could please turn your camera on and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you. Give us your name and your address, please, or that you're a medical citizen. Oh, we can't hear you. Still cannot hear you. Hold on, it might be a problem here. Just a moment, please.
Lemon peels are actually magic for your dog's pest problems. Mainstream flea collars and oral treatments don't repel bugs. They send
Everything's on our end. Everything is on our end.
Can you try to speak one more time? No, cannot. If, maybe we'll, let you try again at the end of the meeting if you want to check your speakers and your audio. So apologize for that, but we'll give it a try at the end of the meeting where there's another opportunity to comment.
Try Lonnie.
Let's see.
See you, Miss Henderson.
Is there some paperwork I should grab in here or something?
That's the agenda. Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's.
That's it.
When did the speaker speak?
So, we just were calling for, public comment. You can come on in if you'd like.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, I
In
look like
fact,
this.
you can just take the podium right there, if that's your purpose, because we were just starting that. If you'll give us your name and your address, or that you're a Medical citizen.
I am a medical citizen. I live over on North Walker Street, right next to the park.
And your name?
Robin Rogers.
Okay. You have 3 minutes,
That's fine.
gather yourself there, and then, go ahead. Thank you.
I just want to speak as someone that sees a lot of stuff going on down at the park. You know, school being out, it may not be an issue or it may start right back up, but there's a lot of late night traffic down there on the side of the park. On Fellow Street is usually where they park. And I feel that some illegal activity might be taking place down there. I don't know if you guys have any cops or anybody that patrols by there or whatever, but there are cars that will sit there for 2 hours. And there are other cars that show up at 2 o'clock, wait for another car, do whatever. And then when, they both take off. So a little bit of a concern because there is nothing for the teenagers in this town to do. So I found that a lot of them just hang out down at the park and talk, which is perfectly fine, but it makes me feel bad that they don't have anywhere to go, as far as, I graduated in 1983. And at that time, the high school had a basketball court outside. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was somebody at that basketball court every single night. And I watched the community garden come along, and it's still not being utilized at the level it should probably be utilized at, especially for that full space. So it would be really cool if they could cut that off in half and then build maybe a half court basketball net. Just a suggestion. I know the skate park didn't go over very well because of the idiots that wanted to break it and make it bad. So that's unfortunate because, that was another outlet for the kids. I brought up a couple of times in emails and to other people that I've spoken to that I think it would be a really good thing to put a splash park down at the park there and put it right in front of the bathroom because there's the playground stuff and then the picnic and the gazebo stuff. And there's nothing in between. I myself was thinking it would have to be fairly big, but I went to Airway Heights the other day and they have one that's probably 10 feet in circumference, has one big long pole, four other poles that, shoot into the air or whatever. And I just think you'd get a lot more activity at the park with the younger parents bringing their kids down there. I see that a lot with really young kids getting up on the only playground equipment that's down there, having to be sheltered the whole time by their mom. And, there's no swings down there that have any seats for toddlers to get into. It's an adult swing only. So I'd love to see some toddler seats come down there and more swing sets, available to them. I also drove by Sunset Park in there, right by the school in Airway Heights. Their park, their playground area is just humongous. And I'm not saying that that's what it needs to be, but truly this is the only central park to Medical Lake. So those are just some suggestions there. I was thinking with all the empty buildings, maybe the city could try to get together and get a youth community center. There's a couple buildings that could easily be set up to be gaming centers. There's kids that love to go down there and they can put their earphones on and talk to each other and just have a blast.
I'll let you finish. I think you're at your 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to start. Okay, well, I'm sorry I lived this way. I was part of the evacuation process this morning. My parents were caught in that. It's very stressful, but everything turned out okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts. We sure appreciate it. You're sure welcome to stay. You can have another 3 minutes at the end or come back another day. We're always here on.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
The lights that are put on Lefay, 15, 20 feet apart, why weren't there any put on Lake? Why weren't there any put on Barker? Why weren't there any put on any other route that our kids walk to all of the schools?
Sure.
It looks fantastic. It's a runway of lights. It looks fantastic. But those hanging baskets, get rid of those. I saw the flags coming in.
Okay,
That's
your time
amazing.
Okay, time's up.
That's
But
it.
thank
I'm
you
gonna
so
go.
much.
I was gonna say,
Have a good night.
use your resources.
Okay, now is our opportunity for announcements, proclamations, special presentations. We have a special presentation from Emily Poole with Spokane Transit Authority on Proclamation 1. And so you can go ahead and come up and share what you know. A little pamphlet was put there in front of you. And as you know, Councilmember Spears sits on the STA board. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper and members of the City Council. Thank you again for having me back to speak with you about STA's Proposition 1. I do just want to highlight that I'm here to provide information about STA Proposition 1. It's not here to provide any type of influencing, just information only. So last time I was here to talk to you about Connect 2035 and our public education about that 10-year strategic plan. Since that time, the STA Board of Directors has made a decision to put STA Proposition 1 on the ballot for August, and so I'll be explaining a little bit about what that is. Next slide, please. And so just to remind everyone, Spokane Transit Authority is the public transportation authority within the public transportation benefit area, which provides service within the PTBA, is what we call it, inside of the central Spokane County. This is our mission statement. We provide safe, inclusive, convenient, and efficient public transportation services to Spokane area communities. And our vision statement is also stated there, which is connecting everyone to opportunity. Next slide, please. This is a map of what the public transportation benefit area looks like. It's a contiguous boundary inside of the central part of Spokane County. We serve 7 cities inside of the PTBA, as well as unincorporated areas of Spokane County. For scale from a landmass perspective, we serve about 15% of Spokane County, but we serve approximately 85% of the residents within Spokane County, which you can see there is just over 481,000 residents. So STA Proposition 1, on August 4th, voters will have the opportunity to vote on the renewal of the existing local sales tax, which is 0.2% that was previously approved by voters in 2016 and will currently sunset or expire on December 31st of 2028. That 0.2 local sales tax goes towards the funding of public transit. Next slide, please. So I want to be clear that this is a renewal of that 0.2%. It is not a new tax and it is not a tax increase. So this measure, if approved, will not increase the sales tax rate within the public transportation benefit area. If there was residents that see an increase in their sales tax, it would not be as a result from the approval of this measure. If renewed at this existing rate, then it would be this 0.2% would continue through December 31st of 2048. Unless it was renewed again by voters at some point in the future. And so what that looks like from a cost perspective is for any $10 that is spent on a retail purchase inside the PTBA, 2 cents of that purchase would go towards funding public transit. You may have seen that, you may have seen that graphic when I was here last time. So of that 0.2%, the majority of that will go towards funding or maintaining the service that we have built, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. And then part of that tax would go towards enhancing that service. Next slide, please. So the approval of the 0.2% that is currently in place was approved by voters in 2016. And that was to fund STA Moving Forward, which was our previous 10-year strategic plan. So we want to talk a little bit about what we have done in that last 10 years between 2017 to what we are just now finishing in 2026. And so we had 27 projects identified in that 10-year strategic plan. We have delivered or are delivering on 26 of the 27 projects. That 27th project was always identified as needing a willing partner. It was pilot service into North Idaho. And we did not find a willing partner in North Idaho in Kootenai County. We were unable to do that. So we are considering that project complete because we were not able to find a willing partner. So outside of that, all other projects have been delivered or will be delivered by July of this year for that strategic plan. We had an initial goal of improving service across the network by 25%. In STA Moving Forward, we have exceeded that goal and increased service across the fixed route network by 35%, and particularly on night and weekend service that has increased by 62% in the last 10 years. A significant project in STA Moving Forward was the delivery of City Line, which was the first bus rapid transit project here in the Spokane region. We completed that and it was $14 million under budget. We also established new and also rebuilt transit centers across the network. And one of those is the West Plains Transit Center here, as well as Spokane Community College Transit Center. And then we rebuilt Marabou Transit Center in the Valley. We have secured over $130 million grants over the last 10 years with STA. And so that enhances the tax revenue that we're able to collect and invest even further into transit projects. And then I do want to emphasize that we are a zero debt agency. So that means that every dollar or penny that is collected in tax revenue is not paid out in a debt or in interest on that debt. It goes directly back into transit projects and services across the region. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, how the money would be used, the majority of the funding from the 0.2% renewal would be to maintain the service that I've just described that has been built out over the last decade. And then a portion of that would go towards enhancing that service with our new strategic plan of Connect 2035. Next slide, please. So what is Connect 2035? We talked about this a little bit last time, but we got a little more ambitious from 27 projects. We have over 40 projects or initiatives, as we call them, in our next 10-year strategic plan. And they each fall under one of three goals. So the first goal is elevating the customer experience. The second goal is to lead and collaborate with community partners to enhance the quality of life in our region. And the third goal is to strengthen our capacity to anticipate and respond to the demands of the region. Next slide, please. I won't go over all 40 plus of them, but we'll just highlight a few. Under elevating the customer experience, we intend to launch the next bus rapid transit project here in the region. And that's the Division Street Bus Rapid Transit, as well as converting some of our high frequency routes into high performance corridors, such as the Route 33 Wellesley. We also want to continue to provide additional bus stop improvements. These would be shelter replacements, improving ADA access at bus stops across the network, as well as lighting installation. And then the design and implementation of our mobility on demand pilots. You can see the 5 zones that are identified here. One of them includes the West Plains, as well as Lake Tahoe Valley, North Spokane Valley, Northeast Spokane, and Liberty Lake, and then sustaining our transit ambassador program. Under goal 2, we want to expand access for our low income riders. We had our Opportunity Fair pilot program that launched in December of 2025. We also want to continue to partner with cities across the region for more housing near transit. We would like to integrate more transit access into sporting and cultural event tickets, and then working with local businesses to improve transit access, as well as expand electric vehicle charging at Park and Rides. Avista has been a significant partner in wanting to work with us on that. Under goal 3, we are making investments in our bus drivers and mechanics with their facilities to be able to support the production of that reliable service for our riders. And then we're investing in real-time information and technology investments, including our recent Contract with Transit app. We are also improving our vehicles, the use of our data to improve safety. We recently installed telematics on all of our vehicles, and then building a user-friendly dashboard to increase our transparency and accountability of our project delivery. So if you would like to know more, we have our website set up, our staconnect2035.com. All of the information for each of these initiatives is available there, as well as information about the Division Street Bus Rapid Transit project. Next slide, please. So this is a quick comparison chart. It's also available in your pamphlets there about what can occur if Proposition 1 is passed, or if it is not passed, renewed or not renewed. So just for a local sales tax, if it is renewed, then the rate that is currently in place would continue. If it's not renewed, then the 0.2% of 0.2% authorization would expire in December of 2028. For transit funding, if it is renewed, then that would continue through 2048 as a funding source for transit. If it is not renewed, that 0.2% is approximately $30 million annually of funding that we would go without, again, after it expires in December of 2028. For current service, all of that service that we've built out over the last decade, as is described, would be maintained. If it is not renewed, then eventually we would need to look at having that service match our revenue stream. And then for projects and plans, everything that we currently have planned, Division BRT, mobility on demand, corridor planning, all of that can continue to move forward in its projected timeline. If it's not renewed, then we would need to reevaluate those and see what would potentially need to be delayed or scaled back or potentially not be delivered. For state and local funding, if it's renewed, then we remain to be strong candidates from a grant competitive perspective, particularly for the $82 million in federal grants for the Division BRT project. If it is not renewed, we would lose the $12.6 million that we currently receive from the state for the Washington State Transit Support and Special Needs Grants. Those grants are formula grants that currently fund our Youth Ride Free program and our paratransit service. And then, as I mentioned, the $82 million in federal funding that we are currently awaiting our final evaluation for from the FTA would also be at risk. So what about our reserves? It's well known at this point that we have a high reserve level. Those reserves, I do just want to emphasize that is one-time funding. They are not renewed funding that we can use for renewed consistent operational use. And so what we have planned in Connect 2035 are one-time projects that would draw those reserves down to the board-approved level of 15% for reserves that keep that 15% protects taxpayers from unexpected costs. And then the 2%, or excuse me, 0.2% is the funding that we would need to be able to continue renewed funding for operational services. And I am happy to take questions. There is one more slide right after this, which is just to remind everyone to register and actively vote, regardless of how you vote in the primary election on August 4th.
Thank you. Any questions, council?
If you had to do this 7 times.
This is my second time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bus stops are great. No play. New ones.
Yeah, we're happy to see the improvements for sure. And
What was the challenge with Northern Idaho, was it, that they didn't want to partner?
We worked with several different jurisdictions, but ultimately the Kootenai County Board of County Commissioners was decidedly uninterested in partnering for our pilot.
Okay. Nice.
okay, and then Councilmember Spears, were you, from your conversations, are you asking this council, we had a conversation about a potential MOU and support for the ballot measure. Is that something you're wanting to bring forward?
Yes, it is. I would like to bring forward a resolution for the city to show support for the ballot initiative. I think it's important to maintain service levels, especially paratransit services, because if we do need to scale back, if it's not renewed and we need to utilize some of our reserves, it would jeopardize a lot of the initiatives in the 2035 program. And the loss of funding, like right away, the loss of funding would be about 45 million a year between the revenue and then also the grants that we receive from the state, regardless of FTA funding, the federal funding for the bus rapid transit. And so it would dwindle our reserves fairly quickly within a couple of years, and then we would have to start looking at doing service cuts. So if we want to keep the level of service that we have, then the voters need to decide to pass the initiative. So I think as a small city, we rely on transit, we rely on the STA a lot. We are kind of a transportation island. STA has been a great partner for the West Plains area, and we're going to continue to grow. Airway Heights is growing, Cheney is growing, Spokane Valley is growing, everybody's growing. And we're going to have more people that are going to need to rely on transit. With the Youth Ride Free that the state is paying for right now, I know a lot of youth utilize transit for just getting something to do. To come around to a comment that was made earlier today, if you're under 18, legally, they can't even ask you if you are 18. You just say that you're under 18, you can ride the bus. That's the state mandate. So you can go downtown, you can have fun, you can come back home, you're safe. You don't have to get a DD. It's great.
Was there some proposed language? Well, so my thought was,
Yeah.
it is, okay.
We have a workshop.
Oh, and that is the workshop, so
Yeah.
we'll be going into that here in just a minute. All right, so we'll get more into detail on that, but that's a nice segue. And so anyway, thank you so much. Any questions then for Emily before
So,
source days?
so if it doesn't go through
You still have two more shots at it.
Yes, the current, tax rate doesn't sunset until December of 2028.
Right.
Regarding the timing, the board did collectively decide to go now, based off of the impacts to the evaluation for the Division BRT, CIG grant. And our ability to be able to show that we have the operational funds secured for that project as part of that grant evaluation. Also tied to that is understanding that there would be another opportunity if it did not pass. Yes.
Hopefully it passes this time. Don't have to worry.
That-
It's being proactive 2 years ahead. That's a good thing.
We wanted to have the time to be able to talk to the population, talk to the voters and see if they either want more accountability or more transparency or something. So just trying to get it out of the gate.
Better be ahead of the curve.
It's fine.
So, any other questions then for school? Right, well, thank you for coming and, we wish you the strength and endurance for the next meetings that you'll have. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on then to our reports on the public safety and, I know I just talked with Chief Burbach a few minutes ago and, well, maybe about an hour ago, but anyway, he has been called to the, Upriver Fire, so I know that that's the reason that he is not here, but we did have an emergency management meeting here today and it had both the sheriff's office and the fire and county emergency management, and I think they were gone about 30 minutes when the fire started here. And they turned right around and came back. And so if we are, I'll give this report from that meeting in that we have agreed collectively. We had DSHS was here. We've also worked with the school district, other partners. We're inviting Fairchild, but we will share a point of contact list for so there's one point of contact in any given emergency. And that will be a shared list so that we can communicate better in these situations. So that's our very next step. We'll have that done in about the next week to 10 days. But we had a great after action review of everything, all the lessons learned from the various agencies, from the Gray Road fire. So it was productive and it was good. And then we got to, really have a fresh look at that right away. I don't know, Sonny, if you have anything from the sheriff's office. But
I don't, normally we get the crime statistics every month. They usually come out between that second and third week of the month, and this is really early in that, so we just don't have the data right now, but I will distribute it as soon as it comes in.
so thank you so much. Not able to answer any more questions there unless you'd like me to follow up on something.
While I was thinking about it, because it popped into my brain, with the fire today. And I know it triggered a lot of people, including myself, right? And it just happened to be the first day the school got out.
Yeah.
Right? And so I know that we don't have, I struggle because I want to make sure that, we're doing the best for our citizenry and for the town, trying to find some sort of communication method for youth to find safe places in emergencies.
Yeah.
So whether we can partner or talk to the fire department, talk to the police department, maybe reach out to the school district, because if we can try to have at least some sort of plan in place, I know we had to move evacuation zones 3 times during Gray Road fire, between the high school and then Cheney and then all the way out to the college, to the community college. But just kind of giving these kids and their parents the knowledge of a rally point, right? Because
I think it's a good discussion to have and, there will be a lot of details to that.
Yeah.
Who's supervising them and how safe are they at the new place?
No, I know.
I mean, there's a
And
whole
it's
thing.
the responsibility of a bunch of kids and
Well, it's a lot, I think it's a good idea, so let's just make let's get that on
Yeah.
the list
Well, I was thinking about
and
it.
let's talk with the school district about their resources, their ability to respond, especially in the summertime. School will be closed, and so who's,
Right.
what resources do we have in Medical Lake? And I think it's a great thing to add to the list of, so if there is a, declared emergency, City Hall auditorium is already the designated area. Or if there's a PDC from Avista where they've shut down the power, City Hall auditorium is already the designated place. Avista will staff it. And so we need to do some more public education to that end, but there's a difference between the fire broke out and there's an evacuation and you got 5 minutes.
Right.
And so those kids, so there'll be an educational piece there too, but I think it's important, so
Right.
we should
And if nothing,
talk with our partners.
I'm gonna talk to the district superintendent, I think, and try to put a bug in their ear too. Because I know all of these kids got the level 3 evacuation alert,
Sure,
right, across their phones.
sure.
And kids were freaking out.
Yeah.
Some of my son's friends,
And those evacuation notices give also street names, which no kids know the names of the
Right,
streets,
But it doesn't say where to go,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
And so even if they've just been told once, right, in school, in the auditorium, now remember, kids, you can always go to City Hall, right? Or you can always go, then we can try to do a way to,
It's the staffing and the management and the liability, so, but
I know,
those are hurdles
I know.
we jump, but I think.
I know,
So Sunny
that's
meets
the hard
with,
part.
yeah, Sunny meets with the superintendent and a lot of times I go there too, but regularly they meet and talk about strategies, so I think it's a good thing to add to the list, so thanks for bringing that up, I think it's valuable.
The text message from the city worked today too, not be good.
What was that?
Was there a text message from the city today? Well.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, if you sign up for that service, it's there.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see.
Okay, if
Yeah,
you're,
I
maybe I
didn't
need
get,
some.
I didn't
information.
get one, but I don't think maybe I'm not signed up for my own city segments.
I didn't get one either.
Need to do better. Yeah, we'll share that out as well for you. To make sure it works and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really important. The other thing I did, other than thanks to Fire District 3 for their quick and successful response. And it was incredible. But Chief Orbach said that we are now in June, where oftentimes they see end of July, August. So the 3 things to always look for are the temperature, the wind, and the humidity. And it's when the temperature's been hot and then drops more than 5 or 6 degrees, like in less than a day. So those are the things that you need, that we all want to watch more, because those are kind of the trigger points. So things we've learned. Committee reports, Councilmember Richard, anything to report?
Oh, just big thanks, like you were saying, with fire, definitely triggering lots of phone calls. HGAC is at the County Housing Advisory Committee is on a pretty low time right now. There's not a lot happening. But I did want to point out that we are gonna have, just because July is already happening soon, August 11th, we'll do a geo walk with hopefully Director Cooper. And that will be on August 11th at 5 o'clock. We've got samples from the groundwater, pick up trash, and I'll do a trash cleanup experiment, talk about some fun stuff for the kids. We try to do it at 5 o'clock because it's a little bit cooler in that day. And then I think that was about it.
Okay, thank you so much. Councilmember Ray Abbott. Okay, Councilmember Spears.
The only thing is, so Saturday before the Founder's Day Parade, which I'm super looking forward to, we will be having a ribbon cutting for, it's the final completable initiative for the STA moving forward.
Yep.
And so we'll be having a ribbon cutting at the bus shelter in the high school parking lot on Lafayette at about 8:45.
So 8:15 is, looks like when we're gathering, and 8:45 is kind of when the speaking starts. So, yeah, so it
So-
won't last long. We'll be done by 9, so I would say
Yep.
get there by 8:30 or so if you don't want to miss it.
It'll be quick.
Yeah.
But we'll be there. There might
Important.
even
No,
be
it's
some
great.
swag, so.
It was on my list too, so
Yep.
thank you for mentioning that.
And
Do you
yeah,
have something else?
Councilmember Spears, thank you. Yeah, sorry, if you're free at 12 o'clock on Saturday, please come to the adult trike races. We've never done it before, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun. There should be pie eating right next to it too. So, yeah.
Oh, I have a feeling we'll be hearing a little bit about Founder's Day through this whole meeting. It's gonna continue to come up, but trike races, yeah, so if you want to pick company, you want to compete against Councilmember Pritchard, this would be your opportunity.
Oh, gosh, yeah, we're gonna try to stay for cold out, I think. There's medals, there's medals.
And helmets, no, Councilman, do you have any, updates or Councilman Wilbur or anything?
Yeah, the Public Works, they had mentioned that they are still doing the, maintaining the road scrubbing and sealing, and some of the less used roads, they're still handling the cracked ceiling, so they're still paying attention to those roads, but they're not necessarily spending the resources to do the full scrub and seal like they're doing on main roads like Lake Stanley, stuff like that. They're just doing basic maintenance, keeping an eye on, where the maintenance level is and planning for next year. So they're keeping up on that pretty well. With the donations that we got, we got all those flags up for the 4th. The citizenry should let us know if any of them ends up missing, because we do have a few spares to be able to put back up. So that is encouraging that we can keep the flags up to celebrate our 250th as a nation. Over down at the wastewater treatment, that 1 acre fire today, the staff was right on point. Thanks to Steve Cooper, everybody was ready to go and do their part in case the fire had spread to that location, to be able to keep our reclamation levels where they needed to be. So kudos to the team and a shout out to his department. So they just did the next treatment evaluation, and they're still at a 99.9% removal rate for contaminants, making the water as pure as it can be before it gets flushed back out into the designated regions that it is supposed to be. So we're right on track with everything we're supposed to be from Waterworks. So some good news, they located a pipe that had a hole for repair, and they're about ready to make the plan for repair and moving forward with that here soon. So they're right on track with that. I think it was just here today or yesterday where they found that. So they haven't had enough time to be able to move forward with that, but they are. That is a top priority for them to have that taken care of. The sheriff's office, they said that the cameras are completely installed. I would like to know exactly what that means. Are they just completely installed, or are they operational to 100%? What does that exactly mean? So I think we need a little more information on that. So and then the July 4th, I think we're all ready to go for there. Everybody seems to be firing on all cylinders for that safety protocol as far as we were briefed. So I think everybody from fire to the police and sheriff's office to your administration, fantastic job across the board on that. So I think we're ready to go. At this point, it is still too early to tell if we're going to have fireworks or not within the city limits. The fire chief is hesitant to make a decision either way at this point. So it's just too far out to make that determination, he says. And I think that's a wise move as well. Let's see. And I think that's about all I have to report on that on my end. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Councilmember Olson.
Further at the safety meeting, they also talked about the generators are coming in. And as they come in, when they're all in, that's when they're going to do the testing on the whole batch of them. So they will have to string this out over a period of time. Coming in, that's the main thing. They're getting hooked
Wonderful
up.
that they're here. The timing is perfect.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, especially with a day like today. Then the striping has started, and they chose the downtown corridor first, which is great for Founder's Day. And then they'll go ahead and fan out through the city from then on. And the parks are getting busy.
So we have to watch out for safety there, kids and so forth, and of course, the crew also. That discharge line to West Medical League, the Corps of Engineers and Department of Ecology will be involved in that. And Haggard Engineering will handle the paperwork because they had an earlier leak and they handled it at that time. Then I believe that the only other thing that I had was a safety meeting that the mayor was involved in today, and she can report on that when it's her turn.
Thank you.
That's my report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Harbolt.
Good evening. Yes, we, general government met tonight and, we talked about, our strategic planning retreat that we had last week, and the consensus was that that was fantastic. I think people liked the venue. Food was great. It was a good atmosphere. So that's kind of where we went with that. Some legislative workshop topics, some of which we'll be talking about tonight, is, the fireworks code amendment that we'll be talking about tonight, as well as the 6-year TIP update. Is also a workshop item. The AWC conference is on the 24th through the 26th in Spokane this year. WCI annual review and audit is in July. The comp plan periodic update as we continue to work on that. Public Works was hit on pretty sufficiently by Councilmember Wilbur and Councilmember Olson. Wastewater treatment plant, they received their initial paperwork for the draft for the agreement for the $232,000 appropriation for the UV disinfection upgrade. So that's great news. The Headworks PLC and SCADA upgrade and training scheduled for June 18th with installation to follow. That's good news. The lab's blind testing assessment passed all testing requirements with flying colors. That allows us to maintain our accreditation, which is fantastic. The mixer motor received earlier, or the mixer motor received earlier than expected. Steve was happy about that. And we'll get a cost update tonight from Steve for the PLC and SCADA upgrades.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's great. Fantastic updates. Thank you.
And I wanted to add one thing if I could on the fire district. I mentioned it downstairs earlier, but I was in Shepherd Field this afternoon with my 6-year-old grandson, who's now a first grader. Celebrated that with him. I was in the field throwing him some baseballs when I saw the smoke. And very shortly after, I heard the fire engines, heard the sirens, saw the response right directly through the south end of the field, which was very quick. I'd like to know what that time frame was in real time, but it was pretty quick. Then the evacuation alert came out on my phone. To speak what Councilmember Spears said as far as the youth being upset. My 6-year-old, who doesn't even live in Medical Lake, was just with me for the day. That kind of freaked him out a little bit. He said, "Are we going to be okay, Papa?" And I looked at him, and I'd already saw the smoke, heard the response, and I just looked at him and I said, "We're going to be just fine, son. We're going to be just fine." I knew that because I know that we have the best fire district in the state. I firmly believe that. I think our citizens should be very proud and pleased that we have such trained professionals that are, we have a fire station that's staffed by full-time and volunteer professionals 24 hours a day. And that's pretty huge. Today is a testament of that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's true. So true. Such peace of mind, especially after what we've been through, so a lot of improvements has happened. Even the generators are part of it with, how do we do better, and so very good. Thank you. For my report, just a few things, that I've been involved in. I hosted the West Plains Spokane County Domestic Violence Coalition here at City Hall. It's an integrated approach to reducing domestic violence and increasing victim support and services in the West Plains. It has all law enforcement and all of the community partners and nonprofits that are working to make our community safer and to assist victims. I sat on the Spokane County Clean Air Board, and we did successfully pass fiscal budget. They run on the same fiscal budget as the state because of funding. And their strong ties to ecology. And then we have policy updates were passed for the year. Broadband Public Development Authority, which is a PDA, discrete unit, Spokane County. I chair that board. They are currently delivering now the USDA grant to the North Spokane County broadband and did receive finally the actual notice of award of the $90 million for the 13 build out areas that they were awarded, and the RFPs are out now. The unique thing about that is because they're a PDA, a public development authority, they require all of the internet have a public access element. And so that took away some of that competition. Well, it adds competition for the ISPs that exist, but it creates a public access component. So it's a internet for all. And internet is moving, as I've said before, to a utility. And so everyone, is entitled to that because we can't hardly do any commerce or any type of business at all without internet. So this will guarantee that 100 megabyte service to every household. It's a big deal, and we know what it's like not to have good internet. And this council has done, and our staff has done a great job of getting us to where we are. Met with federal lobbyist John Fulton from Capital Path Consulting to discuss our grant strategies. The feds are a lot different than the state, and so we learned a lot from him. And we have some really interesting and exciting things developing, and can't wait to bring that to you when it's got some legs. June 10th, City Council Strategic Planning Retreat, I thought was fantastic. Sunny, you did a great job of putting the materials together, leading that discussion. And nice to have the directors there to answer questions for council. So thank you for taking 4 hours out of your life to do that and to update our Healing Water Strategic Plan. And, that's sometimes we can have plans and they're great, but if we don't continue to review those and update them, then they quickly, become obsolete and not useful. So thank you for taking that time. I did attend the Washington State Emergency Management Commission board meeting. We drafted the proposed federal rulemaking for federal grants that is going to the governor's office. That is out for review now to the commission, and so we'll have that to the governor by July 13th. Hosted the medical aid, the SHS and Spokane County Public Safety Coordination meeting today. And so I've already talked a little bit about that. And then the other thing that's up and coming, couple things, a lot of discussion about the data center. There's a proposed data center for Spokane County. There's a lot of concern in the community. I think mostly, a lot of it is people don't even understand it. It's pretty new. And the fact that it could potentially be here. Vista has put a pause on their approval and they're seeking some public comment. They can't disclose where the location is yet because of confidentiality, but nonetheless, there are impacts to be considered. And I think we need to do a better job of educating the public about what it actually is, what the impacts might be, and to have a voice in that will be important for the community. So, as I said, the flags were a grant from Kathy McMorris Rogers Leadership Institute. And I was so pleased to get those. And when I drove around town and I saw them on, I was just instantly, I just was like, hope is rising, it just felt so good. We have our July 2nd, 250th anniversary celebration coming up. Kathy McMorris Rogers will be our guest speaker, our retired congresswoman. And so then we have, of course, the Founders Day, Friday, golf tournament, Lingrick Lake, fireworks, maybe not. We'll see. More to come.
What time does all that kick off for the 2 days?
What is that?
What time does things start kicking off on Friday?
So Friday morning, the golf tournament at 8 at the Plains Golf Course at 8 to noon, and then in the park. I'll let Sunny give us the exact time because I don't remember exactly. I don't want to get it wrong. But the AWC conference, as was mentioned, Tuesday through Friday, this next week, the 23rd through the 26th. So I think you can still get in on that. If you're not, I'll be there, sit on their board also. And so I'll see you around if you can make it there. So that's all I have. have to answer any questions about all of that. I know it was a lot, but I was like, what have I done since I saw you last? So that's been the last 2 weeks, so I don't do much around here. So, let's see, Sunny, if you want to update us on what's happening here in Philly, then.
Okay, Mayor and Council, everything on my list has been covered, so.
Oh.
The one thing that I would say as far as Founder's Day goes, we did talk a little bit about it at the retreat. The city will have a booth and, the citizens would love to hear, and connect with their elected officials and their appointed officials. So if we put a request out for everyone, being willing to potentially sit in there for even just an hour throughout the day, we'll have some informational posters up. It'll be great. It's really just smiles and handing out I Love Medical Lake stickers, which are super popular and it's really easy, low entry, but would love to know when you would like to man the booth. So if that's something you're interested in, please let me know. Lisa sent out a schedule and is taking some notes. So we'll be happy to get you signed up for a portion of that time. So, but staff will be available to fill in any gaps. I'm looking forward to the time. Yeah, Friday and Saturday.
Go ahead, yeah.
So the booth is gonna be between 10 AM and 4 PM.
And on Friday night, what time does the Leader of the Lake start? I know that's a different time.
Yeah, so our festivities begin at 6 PM, and then the concert will kick off at 8 PM. Fireworks to follow, depending on conditions. Perfect.
Yeah, it's all contingent now, so let's see.
Do we just, if they cancel it this weekend, do we just get twice as many for 4th of July or?
See what we can do. Once they cancel that too, and then who knows what will happen at Winter Festival. You can always do fireworks at one of these. We might have to change ours to, you know. That's, anyways, any questions, for Sunny? Thanks council for, you know, all the great information and sending to them. So workshop discussions, I know it's a little premature on asking, Councilmember Spears to kind of, lead this off, but, he, is one that brought forward the request to, endorse, the SDA Proposition 1. And so, we'll let Sunny kind of start us off, with the, some comments, and then I believe, is the draft resolution in our packet, Sunny?
It should be there, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so, getting in again, STA Proposition 1 City Council endorsement, as mentioned, Councilmember Spears requested this. Council's asked to consider draft resolution 26-817 regarding whether to formally endorse Spokane Transit Authority's Proposition 1, which appears on the August 4th, 2026 ballot, as Emily shared. As was presented earlier, Proposition 1 seeks voter approval to reauthorize the existing 0.2% local sales tax that currently funds public transit services, with the measure intended to maintain existing service levels and support long-term transit system stability. Council consideration of this resolution is consistent with city policies allowing endorsements prior to an election. And it represents a policy decision separate from the broader voter approval process. The voters will still have to vote. This is just a consideration of city council, a consensus of city council saying, yes, we're in support of this thing or not. Staff is bringing it forward for your consideration and direction. So I'll pause there and we'll happy to answer any questions or hear your thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone have any comment? I guess I have some of my own, and that is that I love the service that we do get. I would hate to see it become less. I wish it could become more. It's unfortunate that it's driven by numbers of here's how many riders you have, so we can't serve you more because I think that's sort of a, well, if you build it, will they come? I don't know. But the biggest thing on my mind is connecting the West Plains to each other. And while Cheney has a very high ridership, Arrowhead Heights ridership is growing. We are in the middle, and you look at the population, if you look at the data, the people who live, work, go to school on the West Plains, a lot of us are in one of those three cities. And so, I support it myself. If it passes and we look at these 40 projects and the West, generally West Plains is on there. We got some improvements this year, which was really great. We'd love to see some covers on those because we're still going to see, chairs and Afghans and whatever. I mean, I just know, how it goes. But connecting us to each other, I think is really, really important as we become a West Plains region. So, anyway, those are my comments. So I want to put them out there. Mr. Olson.
Just remembering that this is a replacement. This is not a new tax. This is just ongoing to support STA and ourselves.
I think paratransit is one of the most critical components that are offered because we do not have a medical facility. So that's something that's near and dear, to my heart, that I would hate to lose anything paratransit. And I think if they have to scale back, they're going to scale back. The least user first. That's us. So anyway, Ms. Woodward.
Yeah, this is just a continuation of what's currently there for funding. Is there any big changes to their policies or services that would be a concern to us as Medical Lake?
Well, we can only talk about policies that are,
Correct.
not, and future policies are kind of.
I can speak to what's in the Connect 2035 plan. There isn't anything that's going to be detrimental or we're not removing any service to the Medical Lake region. If we're just continuing the level of service, and then you also got to remember, so this is a 20-year extension. So the sunset clause is for 20 years. We don't get to increase for inflation, right? So if I mean, it's kind of tied to it. If inflation goes up, cost of goods goes up, sales taxes goes up, right? But we're also looking at the growth that we're having in our region, right? So that's the reason why there is a little bit of, we're forecasting a little bit of headroom to be able to enhance services is to keep up with increased population and
Anticipated growth.
Yeah, anticipated growth for increase in those services.
I think that's my big question. It's a matter of, I didn't want in 10 years and suddenly, we don't have the funding. Now we can't service small communities like Medical Lake as well as we can.
No,
Or should.
no,
Or we're still taking your money. So.
No. I mean, if we're part of the PTBA, I mean, we get service. There are parts of the PTA that doesn't get service, and we're moving forward to change that. With a couple of new pilot programs, to be able to reach out to those individuals that are outside of our normal service zone, right, to get moved into the fixed transit line as a service. So that's one of the pilot programs that we're looking at. So we're looking at expanding services to the like Northeast Spokane, Hilliard area. We're looking at expanding service out there, which it also expands paratransit, right? Because paratransit is tied directly to fixed route. So Medical Lake has kind of had a special consideration for a long time for the level of service that we receive, just because we're 1/3 of 1% of the population, and we generate about, I think we're 0.33 of the ridership, and we're 0.34 of tax generation, or other way around. We get a tiny bit more than what we pay for. But as far as tying the communities together, that is something that I advocated for. It is a board decision, right? And so we voted on about 72 items altogether. I think that was the initial pass, was about 72 initiatives, and then it was just kind of where the budget allowed. And so expanding those services dropped pretty far below the line.
So I, just because I've always lived in Medical Lake, So I have a completely different view, and I'm like, transit is the idea of transporting people to
Yep.
the city that offers all the services, so.
Yeah, and
You know, and
I-
so I think there should be almost a reverse, but you know that I'm not on the STA board, and that's, you know, my opinion counts for probably 0.00003.
no, it counts.
Because of my population and my tax contribution, but you know, that's my thoughts
It's-
there.
Yeah, that's kind of the purview I was looking at, like, what's the benefit of Medical Lake for, you know,
I
accepting.
think we do get some good benefit just because of what we don't want to lose, because we have the state workers, you know, that can usually.
This isn't me saying I don't want to do it. It's a matter of
No, I think
being a Medical Lake council member. I gotta put Medical Lake first, and make sure that that Medical Lake interests, citizens' interests are paramount in the future beyond just doing a good thing. So that's the job as I see it. So I wanted to make sure that those interests are being looked after for 2 decades to come after this sunset is expired. So,
Appreciate
We
that.
are a voting member of the board, so,
okay,
so we do get the ability to
all right.
influence.
That was my big concern. So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Councilmember Spears represents us and is the chair, and has the vote for the 5 cities, which you remember we passed that MOU
Yes,
that we.
absolutely.
So we are taking our number one primary interest is supporting the small cities and that our voice is heard on that board. That's Lance's job. That's our job to make sure Medical Lake's voice is heard. So I appreciate that for sure. With that said, it's in a workshop. Is council comfortable with bringing that forward for a resolution at the next council meeting, or anyone opposed? Then we need some more conversation. Otherwise, we'll bring this resolution forward at the next council meeting in support of.
Do you need a motion for that, or?
We don't even need a motion. It's just kind of a consensus. It's a workshop, and then we'll take the votes when we get to the actual resolution. So you have a whole 2 weeks to, you know, change your mind or nothing, anything.
Or call me and ask me questions.
It's nice, yeah, it's easy. Absolutely. Mr. Spears is happy to talk STA.
I will, I'll talk your ear off. You have to go.
He's all in. You can tell by how many times he says we when he talks about STA.
Conviction is good.
It
Speaking
is,
from
it is. And if you're going to be the chair, you should be all in.
Absolutely.
So the next workshop item then is the periodic update method municipal code amendments concerning subdivisions. I'm introducing step 2. And 6 or through 6, but sorry for each. Yeah, so the requested feedback, that's the requested action is feedback and guidance on the potential amendments. Our senior panelist, planner, Lisa Rodriguez, will walk us through that.
Hey, caught me off guard there, our last conversation ended quickly. So yes, subdivisions and the briefing sheet is on page 7. So this is our first touch, the second step in a 6-step process, but first touch here at council. And so this is a broad description of what this group of amendments will be. So Title 15 is our subdivision title in our municipal code. It contains both land division and street improvement information. So these updates, we're hoping to make the contents more readable and usable, and also put them in different titles. So pulling out streets and other utility information as far as standards to build to, putting that in Title 11, streets and sidewalks, or if it has to do with water and sewer, put it in Title 12. Yeah. And then anything that has to do with land divisions, the planning side of it goes in Title 19, where we've been moving everything. Land divisions, for terminology, I know this is in the briefing sheet, but just to summarize. When we talk about subdivisions, a lot of words are thrown around, so you might hear terms like short plat, a short subdivision, or long plat, a long subdivision. And what those mean, short subdivision or short plat, same thing, means land division that is 4 lots or less. Anything larger than that is going to be referred to a long plat, a long subdivision, or just a subdivision. And we get it in our code, we're only going to use one one term, but in the world, lots of terms are used for those things. So generally speaking, land divisions are a two-step process. So the first is preliminary review and then a final review. So preliminary for subdivisions, those that are 5 lots or larger, they go through our planning commission for review. They make a recommendation to your city council, and you make the final decision on that preliminary plat review. Once that has been done, the applicant comes back for final plat. Improvements to the site can be done prior to final plat, or they can be, you can post a bond and get the plat prior to doing the improvements, either way. But the final plat is basically how we get those improvements. And when the final plat comes through, we make sure that all the conditions of the preliminary plat have been met. And then you review that, and ultimately the mayor is one of the signatures that go on a final plat. The short plat, the short subdivision, which is 4 lots or less, is meant to be a quicker and it's administrative process. So that one doesn't go through all of the steps. It is administrative, so kind of like a building permit. So it's something just staff reviews because the standards are objective, not subjective. Generally, you're not going to have a street well, you might have street frontage improvements, but you're generally not seeing, say, a new street come in, things like that. It's smaller projects. However, the final plat does still come to the city council for approval because ultimately the mayor's signature goes on that. There is also something called a binding site plan. A binding site plan is specifically, or it's for specific things. One is commercial properties. It's also for manufactured home communities, but I'm not going to address that as part of these amendments. We do still have a manufactured home community title in our code that's not getting touched at this point. The binding site plans are also a shorter administrative process, more like a building permit. And it's meant for commercial properties to potentially do in phases or create leaseholds, things like that. And it's a review where we're looking at both what's going to be built and the land division at the same time. When you're talking about a large subdivision, most of the time you're talking about single family homes, so you know what's going to go on each of those properties. So that is a summary of just to get you in the terminology and what takes place for those general types of land divisions. There's also a couple of chapters that we're looking at removing from Title 15. So we have the planned unit developments and the private street standards that we already talked about for the transportation. And then we have something called residence divisions, which is a really odd chapter. And basically the theory is you have a duplex and then you divide the land and now you have 2 attached houses, except the building code looks at those 2 structures very differently. So you should never do it in that order. So that chapter I'd like to look at removing. And then there's a chapter called subdivision variances. So instead of having a different chapter for subdivision variances, we have the variance process that you adopted in Ordinance 1144, and that will apply also to these standards because now they'll all be in the same type. And that's a
Very good.
overview. Any questions about subdivision?
So it's kind of streamlining and seeing we can just kind of look at everything under the one chapter kind of thing.
Right, like putting standards in the correct chapter. So standards that have to do with infrastructure, such as streets, putting that in the Title 11 that has to do with streets, and therefore the Public Works Director would administer that. We of course coordinate, and then the things that have to do with the land division, sort of the paperwork side, and goes into the title.
Yeah.
I know, look, the last time we had a subdivision discussion here with the developer, a lot of it actually had to do with like sewer road issues. So that would come in, but the same thing happened. We could potentially, they might potentially plat it out at a different time than discussing?
Could you repeat your?
Well, I feel like last time we kind of mixed them all together last time we had a discussion on this.
So they do go together in the discussion, absolutely. It's just location in the code and cross-referencing.
Sorry.
So
You
we're
probably
right.
said that before, so I just want to make sure.
I don't think I said that clearly.
That's good. You know, again, it's just kind of that reminder on the background that, you know, it was last adopted in the 1900s. I love saying that.
Yeah.
And then, so then Title 15, you know, will just be split into two places, but it'll still be considered as the whole. It's just getting it in its right. Right. And
So it's like with the different R zones that we have, and there's one that has a different fence requirement, but you have to know to look in that R zone code section to notice that there's a slightly different fence variance instead of having a fence section.
however,
listed
we'll
all of the
actually
fences.
reference it this time.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll
but-
know to look in the other.
But now, I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
fences is a placeholder for water or sewer, or whatever, but there'll be one dedicated section that'll list each way that it can be
Right,
used.
we're trying to make it as user friendly as possible, so probably not any significant policy changes. I don't think there's anything wrong with our subdivision title. It's just a matter of making it more user friendly.
Organization.
Yeah. And again, as Lisa said, this is just kind of our second touch here. As we have the workshop. And so what comes next then is the public hearing, natural language to come forward. And then that's when we get a look at and see where everything landed and like the way it's organized.
Yeah, so next time language after that public hearing.
Oh, public hearing with the planning commission comes first and then the language to us. That was,
Yeah.
I'm like, it says public hearing first, planning commission, public hearing. Thank you. So many processes. Any other questions about that? Otherwise, we'll move on to, the briefing on periodic update on the municipal code related to transportation. And then make sure they do the transportation. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so, like the mayor said, this is second time, we're discussing this here in city council, fourth step of the process. And the last time, planning commission did have a public hearing at their last meeting. We did not have any public comment and, they voted to recommend approval unanimously. And the staff report will be provided next time when we have the public hearing. So that's the key points list, the items that are being addressed. And then following the briefing sheet is the proposed language. That it has been reviewed by our legal counsel and it will get reviewed again when it goes to hearing and the equivalence form that this has been reviewed. So under key points, you can see that there's 3 new chapters that are being proposed, replacement chapters, I should say. So we have parking, commute trip reduction, and concurrency, while deleting the private roads in the planning of development. So briefly, hopefully you have a chance to look through it. I know code language is not fun for everyone, just me mostly. But what I tried to do with this language is use the same use categories you saw in your zone district, so we can keep that consistency no matter what we're talking about. Also attempting to balance the need for parking with the burden that creating parking can create. And what I mean by that is parking is expensive to create. So you have to find that balance and what's right. And I'd like to hope that developers and businesses know what sells or what their customers want, and so help make that decision. So what the code is providing, the language is providing minimums, not maximums. So if a business or a developer decides that more parking they believe is necessary, they can still do that. That's not in that those tables are, because we have housing table, use table, and then ultimately bicycle parking table. You will see per conditional use review, or it might have a standard or conditional use review. And what that means is those that have that in certain zones, that use is a conditional use, therefore it's going to go through a special review. And that review helps determine the parking necessary because things that go through conditional uses are unique and have unique needs and unique impacts on our community. So it's a time where it's a process that will go through the planning commission and end up here in city council. And so both bodies will have the opportunity to analyze parking and what is appropriate for that particular proposal. Bicycle parking, we have a little bit in our kind of code. It's pretty sparse. So what I was looking to do here, because we're kind of entering a new phase in town of promoting active transportation. So trying to get basically one rack that's 2 spaces at most businesses. The exception is schools, where you can see there's a little more, 1 per classroom. The other item that's not in here that the mayor brought up while reviewing, which is a legitimate point that I will have to work into the language, is that downtown, if there is a business where the building takes up the property, there's no place to put bicycle parking. And I don't think we want to reduce the building size in order to accommodate a bicycle rack. So that would be more appropriate in the city right of way. So that's something that we'll be looking at to see how we want to incorporate that into the code. That was a very reasonable concern. The code has parking lot layouts, which is not in our current code. And I think that covers the basics. So open up the questions. Yeah.
I have one. So for in parking, dot 50, the residential parking standard, so it's on page 12. Item C was paving, and it says all driveways and parking areas shall be paved. Do we have a definition of paved?
I will add that to my list.
All right. And then,
Impervious surface, so if you see.
well, yeah, I mean, because it says, grass block pavers are considered paving.
Yeah.
But, so, because what I was looking at is, and you have ADUs in here, which is great, right? So ADUs, and, sorry, single family dwelling, so single family house, 2 per unit, right? And then an ADU, 1 per unit. So, if someone had, say, gravel driveway in their house, right? And then they decided to add an ADU, they would have to pave one
Correct.
one spot.
So the other exists.
Right.
It doesn't require a retrofit, but this new required space would be required to be paid, yes.
Okay.
My thoughts on the bicycle parking is I love having the bicycle parking standard. I didn't want to have any requirement for businesses to have one. If they have one, then there's a standard and they all look the same. They're going to be square, they're going to be this far from the wall, they're going to have all of the stuff that we want. And so that was the only thing is that in the 090B1, all required parking spaces. And so I'm opposed to requiring the parking spaces. I support it. I think the city can put some bike racks at, Coney Island, and, we have places and businesses may want to encourage that. And if they do, they would have to follow the standard, but requiring those for all the businesses,
The downtown doesn't have a huge.
well, we don't have a sidewalk. We can't take up sidewalk space for bicycles for sure, right? And so, for ADA access and just, aesthetics and all those other reasons, but, so anyway, either, I don't know how to navigate that, but,
I mean, could we do something similar to like modified motorcycle parking? Like if there is a stall on the block, designate, have the city designate like one diagonal parking stall or one parallel parking stall for bicycles, and then we could provide it as a service, and then we wouldn't have to rely on it.
I think the businesses that want to do it are, the coffee shops, and like when we had the bakery, you had people who actually Medford was on the bicycle route, and they would come and they did want to park their bike there and they wanted to go in as part of their ride and, making it inconvenient for them to have to park somewhere else. But anyway, I don't know the best way to navigate that. But I think in our parks, of course, we need to upgrade our bicycle parking for sure. It's on the trails and on everything, but I'd like to understand maybe that a little bit more, or if there's a waiver that they could, any leniency for a waiver for reasons that make sense. I don't know.
If you're biking, you could walk a couple of buildings.
That's true. You should be seeing that.
That's what I was just thinking.
Well, I was thinking that there was just parking somewhere
Yeah,
on the block.
probably like that. Yeah, because I was hoping like the houses are all, they have a pretty big city property in front, right? So,
Yeah,
at least downtown, we just looking to see how it.
Yeah, downtown, you have the storefront right on
Yeah.
the side, which is what we want, you
Yeah.
know, but I don't know, we have Hancock that we're gonna be turning in. It actually is a parking lot, that street's already been vacated, but you know, having some nice bike racks there that are all within a block or two or whatever, but there's nothing prohibits businesses from putting them in. If they do, I do want the standard so that they all look the same. I think that's really important. So, you know, just my thoughts. It'll be up to council to make that decision. And I think that looks like. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. I think we just kind of hit on it with the driveways and the parking areas being paved. For the driveways that are not currently paved, but they are gravel, are they grandfathered? So is that true of everything in here, like parking lots and tree canopies?
Right,
Okay.
so, development standards apply when we come in for development, right? So when we come in for a permit is when they apply, and it only applies for the new, right? So, it can apply for a change of use, so say a business is changing use. Say, like we have, the small engine repair turning into a gas station, that would be a change of use that would be significant, and therefore, if I don't know the status of site beta, if it's gravel, it would need to be paid. So a significant change of use like that would trigger it, but otherwise, it's only what is in the part, like the AU example.
Because I was like thinking Frankenfield, and I was like, their parking is not paved. Yeah, so
Yeah,
That's
so
great. Thank you.
we would not ever go and just require something because the code changed.
Yeah,
You're always grandfathered in whenever it was created,
great.
right? That's the code that still applies until you do something new.
Okay, thank you.
I do like the grass paver, and there's a pretty big push now to use more permeable like pavers
Mhm.
for infiltration, so it's great.
It is a statement.
Oh, nice, okay. Good.
Hooray.
Yes. It wasn't us just being cool.
yeah. Have their advantages, but then they heat up and people put on them, you know, I guess for.
Well, that's
Yeah, yeah.
I have, well, I'm not gonna say one more, but I have one. So temporary lodging, what's our definition for temporary lodging?
I don't have it with me, so it was one of the uses listed in when we did the zoning districts. Generally temporary lodging, hotel, motel, short-term rental. Ultimately, we don't have it yet, but ultimately like camping.
Where do Airbnbs fall?
Yeah, a short-term rental is an Airbnb.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if somebody bought a single family home and then decided to Airbnb it. So would they have to file for like a use change, or how does?
Right, we don't have a chapter in our code yet, but that is one of our, we don't have any, we do, until now, we didn't have any hotel motel, like that wasn't even allowed use in town.
Okay.
And therefore, short-term rentals, Airbnbs weren't there either. So we've added the use category, but we haven't added a specific chapter for regulations regarding that. So likely it would require a use, a change of use, which would require a building inspection, for fire life safety.
Right, so then what standards, I mean, because the standards are different for a lot of them, right? Specifically between single family and temporary lodging. So would they need to like Put go from, well, I guess it's 2 parking spots to 2 parking spots. Well, so like a single family house is 2 per dwelling unit, but the temporary housing is. So I mean, 1 per guest room. So if it was a 3-bedroom house, we're calling it a 3-room guest room, and then they would have to pave another parking spot or pave 3 parking spots or.
Yeah, that is a good question, and I feel like a footnote is gonna be needed to differentiate between hotels, motels that obviously have a guest room where likely there's 1 vehicle, whereas you have a vacation rental, which maybe 1 car shows up or maybe 3 cars show up. So I think a little more thought needs to go into that. So I don't know.
Sweet. Yeah.
Any other questions, council, any other comments?
Yeah, for the Airbnb versus the hotel, do they fall under the same tax exemptions
I don't
or,
understand.
or a regulatory body? Because that might determine how we interpret this code between an Airbnb versus a hotel motel.
I think we can impose the same time.
Well, I think what will happen
Well, I
at
mean,
first,
just to apply how we navigate this, if somebody's turning a room in their home to an Airbnb versus somebody who wants to flat out just open up a hotel motel. What is the tax status of this business or?
Mr. Rover, I think that with this, we need this in place first. And then an ordinance will follow that will identify what is an Airbnb and then, how do they register, through their business license or whatever, we will get hotel motel tax from that. So
Well,
there's-
but I mean,
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying that that mechanism will follow. And it's not, so I think that's a discussion that we will cross when we have that ordinance, how they're identified, how they register, how, we make sure that we're getting the tax revenue from that. And, how, so their status, there is a state law about how the Airbnbs function. And so we'll comply, and adopt those.
no, it wasn't that. It was a matter of what their tax status, where they fall in under the tax status could be how this ordinance applies to them.
What tax status, federal taxes or?
Or no, I mean, what the status is, it a permanent hotel motel that's always what it's gonna be, or is it somebody who just for a summer or two before, they're gonna try out having an Airbnb? They're gonna have to pay for a whole new spot for just an Airbnb idea they're gonna try out for a little while?
Maybe.
Like that's that.
I think that will,
Yeah.
I think that'll be that footnote idea and that will, Russ. We'll come back and talk about that some more, yeah. I know Elisa, she will be thorough and do all of her research and come back and tell us, here's what the state law says and here's what other people do and what do you want to do, so. I think that was a good point for sure. Any other, things that jump out? And I think those were all great things, go ahead.
What about home businesses? Do we have any standards for home businesses?
No additional parking is required, you can add. But as far as if you're asking, like if you have a home or you start a home business, right? You don't have one now, you have gravel only parking, you start a home business. That would not trigger us to require paid parking necessary. If we wanted that to happen, I think we would have to be more explicit in code language.
I think one of the big reasons for that is that we're not encouraged, that it's not allowed right now that your home, if you open a home business, it's not retail, right? There's not the foot traffic and the, like you would expect in a regular business, mostly it's your home office and you do things, but the actual work happens, if it's with a person, it usually happens somewhere else, or if you're cutting someone's hair or whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
No,
minimal,
and
but I
that's what I
think
was
that's
hoping.
the reason.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, that's why it makes sense that it's that, yeah. Anything else on that? No? Okay. So next time we get that, and we know that those, will be coming back then for the next steps. Thank you, Elisa. Appreciate your work. Action items, consent agenda, I don't know what word I just said, but the approval of the June 2nd, 2026 minutes, please. And so the June, yeah,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. The approval for the June 16th, 2026 claim warrants numbered 53798 through 5343 in the amount of $337,062.65. And payroll claim warrants, numbered 53790 through 53797, and payroll payable warrants numbered 30361 through 30371 in the amount of $179,626.53.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I know all council received the details on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes also. Moving on to action items, the fireworks public display permit for the Independence Day show on July 2nd. That's Thursday, July 2nd, as part of our celebration and 4th of July Independence Day celebration. So, we got permits is here. And
I move to approve the permit.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One of these days, Thursday's gonna fall fourth, I feel like. It'll be good.
So the 4th will be on Saturday, but we're gonna celebrate on Thursday.
That's right.
But we'll still be celebrating it as soon as it's.
I like it. Well, it's got music. Right?
Okay, so moving on to public hearings, the 6-year truck improvement plan update for 2026. Page 43, Mr. Weathers, thank you for providing a great revamp. Okay.
You should have a copy of that in front of you. Hot off the presses. And I don't know if you want to open the public hearing before I present, or if you want me to present first.
Page 43, I don't think I have that.
There was an additional handout.
I would. Well, I'll share. I'll show you. Oh, wait, coming. Thank you.
Open, yeah, I opened.
So this is a public hearing, if you want to open the public hearing.
Opening the public hearing at 8:03.
Okay, well, Mayor and Council, state law requires the city to adopt an annually updated 6-year transportation improvement program identifying transportation projects, funding sources, and anticipated timelines. The draft TIP, Transportation Improvement Program, reflects the transition from a project-by-project list to a more strategic program-based approach. Aligned with the draft Transportation Master Plan, which you masterfully reviewed the last council meeting. Projects are organized by year and they're grouped into key investment areas, including preservation, safety and collision reduction, multimodal and complete streets, corridor and intersection functionality, and project development and grant readiness. These are all priorities that we've discussed numerous times, and so we hear that and we're organizing our work accordingly. The proposed program emphasizes near-term safety improvement at key intersections. It's continuing development of the State Route 902 corridor, expansion of pedestrian and bicycle connectivity, and ongoing pavement preservation to protect all the prior investments and keep those assets in good working order. And the draft transportation improvement program also outlines a phased approach to implementation. It shows that the planning and design happens, then construction activities follow over the 6-year period, along with anticipated funding sources such as local funds or state programs and grant opportunities that are highlighted in the form as well. So this public hearing provides an opportunity for the council community to review the proposed framework and priorities before staff returns with a resolution for formal adoption. That would happen at the next council meeting. That's all I have to say about it. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's color coded. It's by year now, so it's really easy. We've even organized it through phases, program categories and phases. So you should be able to track that when there's planning and project development, what follows that? What starts with planning and grant preparation, what follows that is design and engineering. And often the next step is construction. Construction can be broken up into multiple phases as well. This plan is fairly robust. It's a 6-year plan per the requirements. And I think what's here is a compilation of what we've brought forward in the past, as well as what the draft transportation plan had identified and suggested. So it compiles all that together. And I think that it does a good job of generally covering all of the priorities and pinch points that we see in Medical Lake, but happy to have Scott answer any questions that you may have on any particular project.
I get. Yeah, I mean, what, on the draft transportation plan, there was like just a short time where they were gonna try to put at the 902 in the bay, have a 4-way stop sign. And I didn't like that when I saw that because it's a highway. Like, I don't think the highway should have a stop sign. The other roads, then, so now I see it in 27, but then that roundabout's not coming until like 2032. Or 20.
The intersection improvements?
Yeah, that's essentially.
Those intersection improvements, which would be the analysis would start with the design that, where we start off with what is needed there for the best solution.
Well, I'm just seeing in 2027 is probably where you're gonna put the collision reduction would be 4-way stop.
Potentially.
And then we'd have 5 years of
Or
4-way stop where everybody has to stop. Even if nobody else is coming on a highway.
I couldn't agree with you more.
We just moved that.
The traffic flow is the most important thing, especially we want to get stops off of 902, anything
Yeah,
approaching
exactly.
902, because when we had our fire evacuation, it doesn't work when you have people stopping, but nonetheless, that's why it just says improvement. So we're going to have discussion about that as it comes forward. And there might be some first steps. What if it takes us a bit to get funding for some of those future plans?
It's just.
What would be a stopgap to help ease traffic? I guess I'll let Sunny speak more to that, but that's my understanding is that it's a phased approach on what would be a minimal, less expensive, a little safer, but not permanent solution.
And there is, I mean, the suggestion is in the draft transportation
Yeah.
plan. So I see what you're saying, and it was a 4-way
Yeah.
stop, correct? Yep. And so what we put,
It's just.
in there.
Yeah, like I said.
Yeah, control improvements, right? Because that's it, we don't wanna spearhead it, number one. So, and the state, ultimately, it's their facility. And if they say we can't put a stop sign there, then we can't put a stop sign there. So what else could we do? Right? And so it would take a lot of coordination. And I think it's a really good point. This is a plan. And there's no consequences to not implementing the plan. We have to have a plan. So this is the plan, but those things
Okay.
that are in there, it doesn't have to happen in 2027. As with most plans, if the funding or the planning doesn't come together in a timely fashion, then it's gonna push, and that's with this too, these are really just to get best guesstimates and some of them are maybe a little early. Some of them, we might be able to deliver earlier, but generally we think that it's got all the right pieces that need attention. And if we need to move them into places, we can certainly slide if that's more comfortable.
Councilmember Pritchard, I think one thing I like about it is that it identifies that early. We have a problem there. That's the important thing. It identifies that's a problem.
I was gonna say, the plan is mandatory and it's tied to funding sources.
Yes.
So that's.
Yeah, and it's really, that's the best benefit of the plan is that we've identified these things need attention. And then we can go seek the funding opportunities that are out there to help us deliver a project. So if we don't get the funding, we don't have to deliver it. We're not held captive to the plan, but the plan helps us identify where we are looking for funding.
So it's A plan, not B plan.
Correct.
That's,
And on the outset, you did say this was a very aggressive plan also, so, yeah.
Yeah,
That's possible.
I mean, I like to,
best case scenario.
as an analytical type, I love to think through everything that I can. And I can't think of anything that's not here, but if there's more, I'm happy to take notes.
Are you asking?
I am, yeah, what do you got?
Nothing right now. We have 20 minutes.
So. So any further discussion or comments or questions? I close the public hearing, then is that when I get public comment after I close, or I get public comment
Public comment within the,
now within the public
and
hearing?
then
All right,
close.
so I'll open that up then for public comment from anyone online or in the room that would like to comment. Second call for a public comment during the public hearing related to the six-year transportation improvement plan. Last and final call. Hearing none, then we will close the public hearing at 8:12. And the next action we will see is that coming forward, as a resolution.
Look forward to it.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for the way you reorganized it through Sunny. It's really great.
Easy to read.
Appreciate it.
Instructions.
You can buy stuff for that.
Okay, are we talking?
Oh,
Sorry.
no, ma'am.
So you have something that's on the record,
No.
okay,
Sorry.
get me in trouble here. Public hearing, 8B, periodic update of ordinance 1147 concerning specialized housing. Step 6 on page 45, and then this, we'll go to the first reading of ordinance 1147, and we'll go right into that, which, that's, also included on page 53, so. Okay, opening the public hearing at 8:13. Yes, Rodriguez, take it away.
So specialized housing, which we've discussed on two previous occasions. What you have in the packet, starting on page 45, is the briefing sheet that shows you where we're at in the process and all of the House bills that have brought us to this point. The staff report, you have a one-page staff report to City Council that just summarizes, and ultimately the staff report of the Planning Commission has all the findings of that have to do with the approval criteria that is in our municipal code. So as I've mentioned in previous amendment packages, when the Planning Commission reviews amendments to our municipal code, we have, I think there's 7 criteria that they need to look at in order to make the decision, and they did that. And they concluded that these are mandated by state in much of the language. And due to a wide variety of uses being allowed, that using a memorandum of understanding or other written certification to address possible impacts on the community. The proposal is consistent with all other adopted city plans, will provide a benefit to the city, and any detrimental impacts will be addressed. So all the applicable criteria have been met, and the proposal can be approved. So the language, the staff report to Planning Commission has the language that the Planning Commission reviewed, and then the language got transferred into the the ordinance. So the language is the same for both of those, the one in the adjustments in between, both of them reviewed by a legal counsel. So, unless there's, oh, I should say, the difference between the ordinance and the language in the staff report is that when I put it in ordinance form, unfortunately, I have to have the entire chapter, or excuse me, entire section. So, for instance, section 2 that starts on page 54 are all the uses. You can look at that temporary housing use that we were talking about earlier, but it has all the uses with the red line where we're adding the uses. So the red lines show emergency housing and shelters becomes a new category. Permanent supportive housing and transitional housing gets added to the group living category. Same goes for the use categories table. Unfortunately, I have to put the entire table in the ordinance, but it shows that we're adding that emergency housing and shelter category where we have the conditional use for residential zones and permitted outright in other sites. And then it goes on, starting with section 3, that has just the new language for Title 19. So section 1 and 2 is like there's another issue there. No, it's all okay. So section 2 is language that's been adopted that now has an amendment to it, the red line. And then starting with section 3, that's all new language over Title 19.
Let's say any comments on amendments to the adopted language or changes or the entire new language in section 3 on? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to preface what I'm about to say, but this has nothing to do with how this is written, and I'm very well aware and cognizant that the state is mandating that we accept these. I do want to take the opportunity to clarify my concerns on this topic. It's been apparent from the article in the stream and the subsequent clarification that I wasn't making myself very clear. My concerns are largely surrounding the original document for the specialized housing that listed the House bills and what those bills entail. 2 of them covering religious property accommodation of the homeless, including 10 cities, and 2 of them covering state mandates and requirements that are levied on cities and counties across the state to accommodate step housing in residential, mixed use, and business zones. And furthermore, banning cities from making it difficult to build these. My first concern is that this is mandated, but yet the council is tasked with approving or disapproving an update to the code. So I don't think that a mandate requires blind acceptance. But my second concern is that the legislator is passing these House bills as their answer to homelessness. And as I stated before, I think there is a prominent need for mental health and addiction services that drives the majority of homelessness cases, but these bills don't address those effectively. So this, in my opinion and my experience, which I do have some, is not the answer to homelessness. Finally, the House bills address step housing, which includes far more than low-income housing. Low-income housing and subsidized housing is quite different than a tent city or a safe parking area where someone can park their car that they live at on a street that we deem okay. Is far, far different than an encampment from pallet housing and tiny home villages in the empty lot across the street from your home potentially. Very different than subsidized housing where the family has come on hard times and needs a leg up and some services, because that's what comes with the P in STEP, which is permanent supportive housing. If we had a chance to alter, change, discuss, or reject some of the scenarios in the STE portion of that, I think that we could get there, but we don't have that. So I'm stating what my concerns are. There are multiple groups of homelessness, homeless people. That we have like the low income, but we also have the addiction and mental illness groups. And I just want to say that you may not be concerned about the decision being taken out of our hands as elected and appointed officials. You may believe that 10 cities are effective and the answer to the homeless epidemic, but I do not. And when I look back on this and when it is written on us approving or disapproving this, I cannot make that a unanimous decision from our council saying that we thought this was a good idea, because I do think that it will have potential to impact our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said.
I can only, agree with you, and, you know, we've seen a lot come from the legislature, and in the past several years, and it just continues to march down a road that does take away our ability to manage our cities the way we want to. And it is disturbing, and you know, there's only one answer, and that's changing our elected officials. When you know, a supermajority can do a lot of things, and so getting a balance back is kind of the only answer. But for now, we can only take what the state law gives us, and we can make it more restrictive, but we can't make it more lenient. And I personally think we have home rule power. I wish that cities would begin to operate and use their home rule power, but I haven't seen that exercised much, unfortunately. So you get what you get and you don't feel a fit, kind of seems to be the way things go these days. So I appreciate your comments, I really do, and I support those comments. I have one question on page 67 where it said emergency housing and shelters are, yes, allowed in the central business district. So if somebody wanted to lease a property that's in the central business district and open it up as a shelter, emergency housing and shelter, is that, there's a Y there on page 57. Is that what that means? Yes. So emergency housing will be in our downtown central business district, and we don't have any way to say no. We want to have just businesses in our central business district. What's your answer there?
That's great.
Yes, it's correct. And so even requiring a conditional use in the residential areas is only allowed for state law because we require conditional uses for other residents like group living, right? So if we allowed all that outright, we would have a much harder time saying that you would need a conditional use even in a residential area. So these unique housing types are still looked at as housing. And so right now, you still looked at as what? As housing. They're unique housing, but they're still looked at as housing. So in our central business district, housing is allowed, it's allowed outside. So that's what the distinction is.
Is it because in our central business district, we allow mixed use, and so therefore we have to allow housing, emergency housing, even on the main level? We can't make it the same as a mixed use that you can do it on the second level.
Right, and remember, this is only on property controlled by a religious institution. So it's not for anyone and everyone. It's
I
only,
really can't hear you.
I'm sorry, it's only for properties controlled by a religious institution. So it does have that limitation. So yes, I understand that that is less than ideal if that took place in our central city. There's even a lesser potential for it to happen because it has to be a site controlled by a religious institution.
Because it doesn't say that, because all the definitions are before, and then it just goes into the table. And central business district. So I don't see where it ties it only for a religious organization in the table.
House Bill 2266 specifically says residential, mixed use and central business. And that's regarding step housing, which is emergency housing, E and step.
Council, any other?
I just wanna, I have to double check, and I'll do it prior to our next visit on this ordinance. But we have definitions, and I feel like I might have left out a section, so I have uses but not definitions. Oh, no, here, sorry, section 1. Sorry,
What page are you on?
so page 54, section 1 is adding these definitions, and they refer to the RCWs, so it is very specific.
So 3670A030 under the emergency housing and emergency shelter. They reference religious organizations?
Okay, hold on. There are so many potential pieces to this.
I know, I just,
Let me take a moment.
no, just take your time.
Okay, so I stand corrected. So looking at page 47, which is the, well, either one of it, page 47, right, list the table. It says, there's just so many types of housing here where I lost track of things. So number 1, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, emergency housing, and emergency shelters, which is the step housing that Lauren is referring to. That is correct. That is not religious related. It does not have to be controlled by a religious institution. So those are a list of housing that could take place in town without being affiliated with the.
So when you,
But number 2 and number 3, the are the safe parking, the encampments, the temporary small houses, emergency shelters.
so this was my question is, so on page 47, affordable housing references RCW 3670A545. But then when we get to page 54, the amendments, and we talked about emergency shelter, emergency housing, we're referencing 3670A030 instead of the 3521. So is that,
Can you tell me again? I'm sorry, I lost you.
and maybe I'm not looking at it. So page 47, where we have proposals 3, affordable housing references 3670A. But when you talk about number 1, the transitional housing, and it's the step housing, you reference RCW 3521.
Yeah. They're 2 different.
But then when you go, correct, and
Okay.
so when you go to page 54, section 1 amendments, and you then go to your emergency shelter, emergency housing amendments, you're referencing 3670A instead of the 3521. I want to know which one is correct. Unless there's a reason that they're referenced differently in your outlining.
600. So it's if I remember correctly, and I can double check to make sure these citations are correct. So when you read, for instance, RCW 3521-683, it cites the other RCW for the definition. Because these these terms are used in multiple places in RCWs and they've held the definition in one place, is my recollection. But I will double check.
Yeah,
If we can make sure.
The
we
30
get it right.
3670A.030 does provide the definition for permanent supportive housing. And
This is emergency housing.
well, yeah, so this, the first one is the permanent supportive housing, and then the emergency shelter. Sorry, it's a big section. There's a lot.
Oh, I see, all their definitions.
All the definitions are like low income housing, green space. It has all of the
Right,
definitions.
the 3678-030 is basically definitions for all of growth management. So that's why it's,
I see.
but I will verify.
Yeah, and so like emergency shelter means facility that provides temporary shelter for individuals or families.
So 3521, you're saying 3521-683 then references the other, the 3678. The city shall not prohibit, transitional housing, permanent supportive. It was changed in 20, and it does reference 3678-070. Yeah, it just references 3670A-070. 030. So anyway, if you could just make sure those.
Yep, absolutely.
Reconcile, that'd be great. Right. Because we'll probably have to follow up one day and then go, that's not talking about that. Maybe it all doesn't. So there's some, anyway, council, more thoughts or discussion or anything else that's a question in your mind? No? All right, we'll open it up then to public comment, during the public hearing on this particular issue. Looking at the public comment,
I'll say something.
we have a public comment?
Yeah. Gonna go up there, Jim?
Yes, come on up. And give us your name.
My name is Gerald Abbott. I live,
Okay, wait till you get to we got a microphone up there again, sorry, okay,
my
take
name
it
is
away.
Gerald Abbott.
Give us your name and your address, or that you're a Medical Lake citizen and.
I'm a citizen. I live across from, Tucker Park. I was reading through some of this with the homeless, and then, so basically what I'm reading is we really don't have a choice in the matter of some of this stuff. So the state can come in, purchase property and throw a homeless center in the middle of town. And there's no city ordinance we can do to stop or help prevent or slow any of this down. The other day, I seen a homeless guy sleeping on the side of the gas station here in Medical Lake. Is there no loitering law? Or just does homeless get to do whatever they want? As a city, I think we should do what we can to help, obviously. But if we just open the floodgates, you have no idea the flood is coming. You can't, and you talked about being a religious institution. My house can be a religious institution with the sign of a paper. It really can. I mean, there's a lot of back ways to make this happen. I've lived that life, and housing is not the answer. You can't give a drug addict a house. He's just going to destroy it. The town will go downhill really quick. So before we just invite the whole world in, we should probably try to battle a little bit of this, because housing isn't necessarily the answer. That's all I got.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments, and yeah, housing first has been a battle we've been having in this county for a while. It's a proven failed solution, and I agree that as we move forward in these ordinances, that we really look at what we can do, just like this. We can do conditional use. We can make sure they have public safety and they have garbage and sanitation and all of that. So we'll do all we can, but yeah, I appreciate your comments so much. So thank you. Okay. And I'll have to get back to you on the question on the loitering. I have no idea if that's in our law, so I'm not going to answer that, but we can get back to you on that. So, Any other public comment then on the specialized housing, online or in person? Second call. And third and final call, during the open public meeting on specialized housing. Closing the public meeting then at 8:35. And we're going to go to, the first read of ordinance 1147, starting on page 53.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, ordinance number 1147. An ordinance of the City of Medical Lake, Washington, relating to amendments to Title 19 of the Municipal Code regarding housing for individuals with families who are homeless or at imminent risk of being homeless.
Okay. After having all the discussion and reviewing the amendments and the entire section of the what's the council's pleasure on ordinance 1147?
I'll start it off with a motion to approve them.
Is there a second? Hearing none, puts the city in a difficult position.
But I guess I can second it. I just don't understand.
So, this is approving those amendments to the language to align with the new state law.
Yeah.
And to be as restrictive as we can, which we try to build that in. Our limited ability to be handcuffed here, but,
I'll second.
so.
That makes a vote moot.
Being handcuffed and then going willingly are two different things.
So, yeah,
Well,
so, there is a motion and a second at the table, open it up for discussion, so.
just feels counterintuitive to vote on something that you can't vote for or against. Well, we just have to deal with consequences.
And Councilman Horvath, I agree with you. I think that we are going to have to abide by the state law, but I think that's where I was going with, I can't make this unanimous. I need the state to see that we don't all agree. I mean, and I can only do that for myself, but.
I think you made valid points, and I guess what I'm saying is that's how I feel as well after we've kicked the can down the road and just
And I think this is the first step in fighting against that, where they'll have to take a look at it and say where the higher legislative bodies,
You speak just for yourself, yeah.
where the higher legislative bodies will say, well, this elected official did not put their vote against that, and this elected official didn't. They can't just say, well, everyone said unanimously that this is okay, so apparently it's okay. That I'm not willing to make that unanimous either.
I would agree with that. I don't like somebody telling me that bad legislation is going to be good.
Right, exactly.
So there's a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all in favor
Aye.
and all opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Names are Councilmember Whittier, Councilmember Wilbur, Councilmember Olson, Councilmember Harbolt for the record. And so the first read does not pass. So council, what happens in a situation like this where it's adopting a mandate and that's a tough one. So could you bring us back some legal
Yeah,
guidance at the next meeting and advise us of our options? And I think Ms. Rodriguez would like to add something. Go ahead.
The language proposed is not a mandate. The mandate is we have to allow this no matter what. Right. So if we have nothing in our code, all these things can still take place in our city. But the language
that-
is to try to protect ourselves as much as possible.
Right.
So if you do not pass it, it is not opposing any state mandate.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, actually, because, we can get lost in that rhetoric. I mean, it's not rhetoric, it's true, it's valid concerns. But we can get lost in that, and that reminds me that, of the conversation I had early on when Elisa and I were first going through this, and that is this gives us some little level of protection that we can require that they have public safety, sanitation, they abide by the noise ordinance, all the other things, and we can make them sign an MOU that says if you have this shelter, you have to do all these things, you have to prove it, and you have to do it, and we can hold them accountable for that. Without it, it's true, we have to do it anyway, without any guardrails.
Yeah, then we just have to let the state, we just have to
Then
petition to the state to try to get them to
Right.
approve it.
The doors are open, come on in, and what they do in Seattle, they can do here. That's what this means, if you don't do anything. So I think that's, unless council's willing to, entertain, or make another motion, we'll probably bring this back after some legal.
I think we'd like to hear what the legal has to say before we bring it to the vote again.
I think we just answered that.
Yeah.
If we don't include language that makes it more prohibitive, we just agree to the state's language.
Yeah, that, the mood is silent agreement, I guess, although you made a point, you did not pass. But what you didn't pass, to Elisa's point, was some guardrails, as tiny as they may be.
I guess that was ambiguous to me as we went through the process and the discussion, where that wasn't clear to me as it
Right.
was just now.
I agree. I think that it's more clear now. I also got lost in the, I think the emotion of it and that feeling like, when is enough kind of feeling, but, knowing that we've tried to put some guardrails on. So if council's willing to, change, entertain a motion, I'd entertain a motion. Otherwise, we'll just leave it and, we'll bring it back to legal. So last opportunity there, and moving on.
I think we're probably gonna hear the same response back from legal, and we're just postponing the inevitable of revisiting it and making.
We can also pass the first read and then, hear from council and then take any changes up for the second read.
Do
This
that.
just takes it to the next.
Is it possible to point out more clearly what the guardrails are? Because I didn't really see a whole lot of guardrails in there.
I read that thing like 4 times. I didn't see any.
Yeah, we did go over it when we had our workshop. I
Right.
recall that. It was clearly went over in our workshop, but it got lost in the 50-some pages of whatever happened here. So
Right, like, can we say, I'm sorry, Elisa, I really am. I know that you're doing what you're supposed to do. So in the religious, property portion of it, when it's talking about a 50-year lease, at least a 50-year lease, whether the church owns the property or not, that sounds horrible. It also does not say that those structures can't be tents. Can we do that? Can we say they can't be tents? Can we say they have to be hard structures?
So they're different types. So the, I gotta flip back to get all the correct terminology.
Right, I think.
and this might be a legal question too. I think we're really getting kind of more toward the legal question. So at least you go ahead and answer if you think you have.
Yeah, so an emergency shelter is different than an encampment, right? And then when you're talking about the 50-year lease, that's referring to the affordable housing. So affordable housing would be most likely an apartment type scenario.
That is more under the P of step, which I'm all for giving someone help, but you have to have income to have affordable housing for that to work. And I'm talking about the no income housing, the tent cities and the, the givens. That's where I feel protective of us.
Encampment.
So-
Yes.
So for those, the guardrail is the requirements section, so
Yeah.
dot 40. Where it says the memorandum of understanding with the city contains a minimum of those criteria items. Post a community meeting persistent pursuant to the RCW, and then the sex offender checks of all adult residents and guests.
Right, which,
So we can't require that if we don't pass this. That's our guardrail, that's what we're.
Right, that's our little protected piece. And I don't know what it said about encampments, and since that's being brought up specifically.
Well, those apply to all, to
They apply to.
outdoor encampments, temporary small housing,
Okay,
indoor overnight or vehicle residence, safe parking.
but we can require.
just for the religious.
Yep, that's for that part.
Yeah, and there's also a caveat in there that they have to offer, the host has to offer it. So you can't just set up shop there. I mean, I did do that research. And so some of these things were not part of my concerns.
Your concern,
My concerns, what's not spoken in here.
yeah,
And I've read the House bills, so I know what could happen. And that's where I'm hoping we can have a little more protection in there.
if it's in the bill, and this is where it gets kind of weird, because we did take an oath, all of us, to uphold the laws of the state of Washington. So once it's a law, we've taken an oath to uphold those laws. Like it, love it, or leave it, it was voted on by our legislature, and that's our law.
And I knew going into this evening that we would have to obey the law,
Yeah,
but that does not mean I have to agree.
you don't have to like it.
I don't have to
Yeah.
like it, and I can say I don't like it.
But, so we're back to, so here are the options right now. We're gonna hear a motion to, take the first read and bring it back here from legal and make a decision at second read. Or the first read's gonna come back again. But we can also get legal, for that. Doing nothing does not help us update any of the other language. And so we will just have no language and just follow the state law only, and their mandates. So you can pass first read, not pass it, and we'll try to bring it back again, probably. Or Sunny, if you have a thought on that.
I was just thinking that a motion and a second and a vote took place. And so doing another one, I think you need to have a motion to reconsider
Oh, you're
in order to accurately reconsider. So that would be, you either
Yeah.
reconsider or you don't, and we just carry forward without the
It
protection.
does not exist
of this
unless it
language.
comes back again. Okay.
Right.
So, the way it stands right now, there's a motion in the second, there was no vote.
There were-
Or I mean, it failed. It failed, and so it failed, and so, it does not exist. If there was a motion in a second to pass first read, we could take a vote on that. There could also be a motion to move it to the next council meeting to reconsider the first read. So those are the options.
I'll move the first read to the next meeting for reconsideration pending information from legal.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that position? Okay, all in favor?
On question,
Oh,
would we have the right to abstain instead of voting against it, just as a protest vote?
I think nay is a protest, abstain is neutral, abstain, you look at, abstain doesn't mean anything, it means that you weren't, usually you abstain if it's a conflict.
Yeah,
If you want to protest, you say nay.
Yeah.
well,
You can abstain whenever you want.
okay.
You can, but
That's the
but if
rule.
I'm not very neutral.
But if you're trying to send a
Yeah.
message, that's all I'm saying. You
Yeah.
said, is it in protest? I don't.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think literally by definition, then
Right.
There's a conflict of interest.
I understand that, and I guess my whole question is, this is a state law, it's already been passed.
It's already.
Why do they need us to pat them on the back for? That's my question.
You don't need us to do anything.
They don't
You know,
need us.
side rails up for the city.
We're trying to make it more restrictive so that we can know when they're coming into town.
I think,
Because if not, they can
Yeah,
just show up.
to his credit, I think we're already confused by
Yeah,
the
right.
ambiguousness
Yeah, no.
of
Yeah, no,
where the
no,
guardrails are, what we can and can't do, and that, I think that puts us in the spot where.
And I
Yeah.
think, Ted, what you're saying is what I heard from individual council members that, why are we voting on something that already exists? That's not what's happening. That's what I think
Yeah.
that's what
Sure.
some thought was happening, but now
Clear
I
as
think
mud.
it's more clear.
right?
I think it's more clear that really, we want to add those few things, mostly that they have to let us know they're here and they have to follow some rules. They have to come to city council, enter an MOU. You're going to agree to it. You're gonna know who's here, where they live, what they're doing. That's what we're really talking about today. The rest of it, we have to do anyway.
Right, and we are approving or disapproving them adding the language into the code. That part, because 2266 passed and is going into effect this month.
Correct. All of those definitions exist. All of those things already are there.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's where we are. So,
Just one point of order, motions to reconsider have to come from the prevailing side of the vote.
Oh,
My understanding, right, Councilmember Spears voted yay, so he was not on the prevailing side, so a motion to reconsider.
Thank you. I will retract.
thank you. Is there a motion? That was your second, but anyway,
Second.
so, it would have to be someone who voted nay would have to make the motion to bring it back or to bring it back for first reading.
Anyone besides Councilman Spears.
Yeah, so,
But we could reconsider for this meeting, soon as we're done.
so the motion itself, you can likely second.
I'll move to reconsider.
Okay, at the next meeting. Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a second. Motion is from Councilmember Olson, second from Councilmember Harble. Any further discussion there?
I would just ask, will you check to see if there is any, I'm confident in your ability, but, check to see if there is any more restrictive language or if anybody else has started to enact language.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? See if they've gotten away with anything more.
We definitely want legal's
Would love that.
advice on the next round.
Yeah, just-
That's- We'll bring it back and we would like legal to give us the presentation on.
Yeah, see if there's more
things.
breathing room or anything that we
And
can.
then
Yeah.
if anything else comes up
Yeah,
before then, just reach out to us.
okay, very good.
So,
Thank you.
Any further discussion to that end? Okay. All in favor of, bringing back ordinance 1147, for a first read at the next scheduled council meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it'll come back next time. I think it was a worthwhile discussion. So, and I really appreciate all the thought and I really do. It's good. Okay, and we have no executive session, so we'll move on to resolutions. 26-816, the service agreement with Aaron Bishop for the, kitchen management consulting on page 63, which she gave us her presentation last meeting. Mr. Weathers.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's asked to consider draft resolution 26-816, approving an agreement for services with Aaron Bishop, doing business as the Cannery to provide kitchen management consulting and program development services in support of the city's commercial kitchen initiative. Agreements intended to support the successful launch and operational readiness of the city's commercial kitchen by providing a structured framework for operations, including development of policies, rental systems, marketing materials, and program concepts. Under the proposed agreement, the consultant will deliver tools and guidance to establish the program while the city retains responsibility for the day-to-day operations and facility management. We did make some of the adjustments to zero that down based on previous conversation, but happy to address any questions you may have.
Yeah, so
So is the plan to just run until the end of the year?
Yeah, and this would be just for the project, and this would be under 1099 project management piece, and then. So we extracted all the people being an employer, so contractor through the end of the year.
Yeah, is that why you guys pulled out the additional trainings language?
Correct, yeah, anything that was related that seemed to blur the line between contractor and employee. The discussion was, yeah, let's pull those out. Cool.
Yeah.
Did have a question on page 72 on the website social media. It said content calendar and template library. What does that mean?
Template library is like if there's forms and for people to fill out, like for renting the kitchen, renting the facility, renting, so the templates would be
Oh, okay.
multiple people could use the same template. And so it's basically pattern forms.
So that's something she's gonna create or
Yeah,
already
she
created?
will create them because the kitchen hasn't existed yet. Yeah.
I didn't know if there's something already preset that she would try to use legal aid. That's something that she's going to do.
She would create, and it would have legal review, of course, because have liability issues.
That's my question.
Yeah. Sorry, I got ahead of you there.
No, that's exactly what I thought. So thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate that.
I have one more.
Sure.
For the advertising budget, it says to be determined. Do we have a general ballpark? So we have a marketing budget for 5,000. This is advertising budget to be determined
Yeah.
for print.
Where do you see that?
On page 73, it's the sixth bullet point down.
Payment,
Advertising budget to be determined.
for print and digital advertising. We should probably have a dollar figure there or combine the marketing and advertising into one. Anything?
I don't know what advertising costs. Do we want to say to be determined by the city?
Or you can leave it at the discretion of, I guess it would be. I don't think that's probably a good idea, it'd be better if you set a dollar amount and then if we go over, come back and say, hey, here's what we've done with the money you gave us and we need more,
This language is that we would not have an amount unless you authorized it, so it would be council's determination, not staff or contractor.
Should be.
So
council spending money.
approval, spending approval upon the council's discretion or?
Then she'd have to ask us first.
And every time you gotta wait for a council meeting, come back, once you put like a couple $1,000s in there and then just see how it goes,
That's what I was thinking too.
Like $2,500.
Yeah.
And then
3,000.
maybe you can spend that within 2 weeks, then she can come back.
And you can say, show us show us the
Yeah.
money, right, what you spend it on.
Yeah.
I'd say half the marketing
What's
budget.
marketing? I mean, like,
So marketing budget it can be a lot of things.
Well,
It's-
like
Maybe-
these or purchase of these.
It can be digital, it can be print, it can be, that's why I think marketing and advertising are kind of together.
yeah.
I'd rather just see marketing, advertising / budget.
Maybe increase that by another
Whatever your pleasure is, but I think combining those two makes more sense. It's kind of what I'm
I think we should combine them. I think that makes it cleaner. We can just leave it at 5,000, combine the two. Advertising and marketing.
That's for more.
She can come back.
That's fair.
They are closely related.
Right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Any other discussion on that? And
Well, we-
we'd entertain a motion as amended, yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure there's no more discussion before we amend.
That's what I was trying to get to, but.
I see it.
Yeah. Any more thoughts or discussion on any other part of it? And then if there is a motion, be sure to add that and then amend it.
Decided. I will move to approve with the change of, combining the advertising and marketing together as one line item for $5,000 budget.
Second.
Any discussion?
resolution 26-816.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion and second on the table for approval of resolution 26-816. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Mine is, I just was still mentioning that.
Oh, it was 4. Oh. No, we're getting to there. I'm gonna, here's what I say to my grandkids, use your words. So, you can't raise your hand signals. So, all right, thank you. Resolution 26-818, this is the service agreement amendment with Control Free. Again, it's only amending the expiration date. Did I say the word? 6 starting today, the 60-day period. This is resolution 26-818, right?
Yes. The amendment of the new material.
It says amendment with Control Free.
Yeah, and the amendment wasn't just the date, it's the whole thing. We amended what was originally added.
The scope.
Was the scope, but we amended the date because that was outside of compliance. But now we need to consider the entire scope change as an amendment to the original Control Free
Thank you.
resolution.
Amendment to the scope of work, and what was changed tonight was to the quote amended the date. Okay. Any discussion on the content of the scope of work?
Happy to provide a little context.
Please do.
This is the Control Freak is the contractor that was hired to do the freak as in frequency. It's a short frequency. All right, thanks.
There's no queue, there's no queue, but just saying.
They're the contractor who was awarded the bid for the SCADA and PLC upgrade project at the wastewater treatment plant. And that project was funded, approved through the capital improvement plan, and then also authorized at a dollar value that was much higher than what the bid actually came in for. So this change in scope is really related to projects that are in complete alignment with the work that was part of the original scope. And it makes great sense for us to do these now. And the fact that it came in so under budget when we authorized the work, the request is for council to consider the additional scope for the costs included in the amended paper.
Which is still less than the original.
Still less than still under the budget that was originally approved, so.
Outlined on page, so.
And was funding that we have
Yeah.
in the wastewater restricted fund to pay for this project.
Yes, and I will add that it is, it's an adopted capital improvement project. And yes, under the amount that was adopted for the project, but it will require a budget amendment for this fiscal year because those expenditures were not anticipated. But
in the budget.
the funding is there.
Yes. So I would move to approve resolution number 26-818.
Second.
I'll give it some council. Vote. I thought they faster. I'll make the judgment vote. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, council. Moving on to resolution 26-819, service agreement with Estel for UV light procurement assistance on page 92 in your packet. Send on, I guess, a brief on that.
Yeah, so little context on that is this is the UV light upgrade project at the wastewater treatment plant as well. That project was also an approved project. This is inside the scope of the funding that was authorized, but it is an agreement with an engineering firm contractor who is the engineering firm who designed our wastewater treatment plant, so is well versed in how the ultraviolet light disinfection system works. And so we wanted to work with them to streamline the process of identifying, moving towards 3-phase lighting and making sure that it still fits within the parameters of ecology's requirements and the design of the plant. So this is a service agreement with Esvelt Engineering, not to exceed $40,000, which again is inside of the scope of funding that was authorized, but it is in agreement with the contractor.
There was one small contract change that, Asphalt did ask for, and it was, on page 89 of the packet, page 4 of the contract, and it added the very last sentence under section 16, if you'll notice, unless provided otherwise in the statute, service providers' attorney fees payable by the city and the city's attorney fees payable to the service provider shall not exceed the total sum paid in the agreement. So what it did is it equalized that if we go to court, the maximum we could, if we lose, the max we'd have to pay them is the 40,000. If they lose, the max they'd have to pay us is the 40,000. All of their attorney costs would be borne by, the person that whichever side they're on. So, all it did is just equalize that, and it's. And we also have a 5-day out or whatever it is. If things start going sideways, we can get out of the contract before we ever even get that far as to do it.
As well, great stuff.
It's just to equalize it. They asked for it. We did ask for legal review, and they said, it's up to council that they didn't see the issue.
Their standard,
Yeah,
equal.
whatever we ask of them, they can ask of us. It's sort of the,
That's fair.
I'd move to approve resolution number 26-819.
Second.
The motion and seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 26-819 passes unanimously. Move on to, we already did that ordinance, and then this one is under 11B. The first and second read of an ordinance 1148, that's where council does have the authority to waive the first read and to hear the second read as both the first and second. Related to the prohibition of fireworks sale when the use is prohibited by the fire chief. Or an emergency ordinance, which happens.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, is the emergency ordinance. That doesn't.
The city can do that anytime. But this gives that, you have to give the authority to the fire chief to ban it, so, which we have.
Okay, so if you give an ordinance, the fire chief normally would.
Remember when it happened before and there was an emergency, we were under the emergency declaration. And so I passed that emergency declaration, no fireworks, but we couldn't ban the commerce side of it, which is the sale, because we didn't have it in our ordinance. So this covers both.
I've only read that the fire chief is in this. Is there a way that we
It
can say
is.
based upon?
It could be in there, and I guess that was kind of a question to council. Since the city has the authority, mayor has the authority to issue a emergency declaration. And prohibit things or allow things. Do we need to put that in here when there's an emergency declaration?
I mean, for
Or-
purposes of clarity, it may make sense. I think it's a little redundant. You do have that power already. People who are savvy with the rules may know that, but yeah, it would spell out everything.
Might make it clear,
Yeah, I
be
mean,
more
it
comfortable.
didn't work last time, and it's not gonna work next time. It doesn't
Well, it
say-
did work. We could ban the fireworks, but we couldn't ban the sale.
Unless your emergency is like against fireworks usage and sales.
So if we put fire chief or there's an emergency ordinance or emergency declaration.
I feel, when you declare an emergency, it relaxes the standards and gives you the authority to do those things. Previously, we had no language related to sales in our code.
Yeah.
So the emergency declaration could not create a standard that didn't previously exist. This language includes sales. So an emergency declaration would be able to
Also fire this.
Relax or impose anything we had in our code.
Yeah.
I
So
see.
versus the previously in discussions with Mr. Bouts and Tom, that was the hiccup in the moment that said we had nothing pertaining to sales in our code. And so the emergency declaration doesn't give you additional powers. It gives you the powers to move all the things and to relax some things that are just in the way of being able to get to the outcome, but we just didn't have anything pertaining to sales. So now that language is here.
I mean, just from a legal, I guess that sounds good, but I mean, would the fire chief, Jeff, did he support the emergency ordinance? I mean, could he?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, when there's an emergency ordinance, it's you
Fire
know,
chief then also.
typically, I don't need the chief's permission to do it, but it usually happens all at the same time, like it did with the Gray Road fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're generally in consultation with him in
Oh,
order to
sure.
make that decision, correct? I mean, that's.
I wouldn't have to, but
Exactly.
Trust
it goes hand in hand. They're two separate authorities with two separate powers, but yeah.
And not that I'm speaking for the chief, but just to recall, what the fire chief has mentioned before, the desires of the city are the desires of the fire district.
Yeah.
They are not gonna, their intent is never to get in front of us. He would make a determination based on extreme fire danger, and that's it. If there was a request, of the city, they want to honor the request of the city.
And conversely, he's never makes a decision without being in consultation with me and with Sunny. So, because it impacts our citizens and that's who they look for. And, the fire department does not like to be seen as an enforcer. They're there as a protector and defender. So, yeah. If that
We
makes
need
sense.
to waive before we vote on the first time, or do you waive it until after? It's the first.
So you do it all at once.
You
Yeah.
wanted to suspend the rules to approve both reads. I
You have to have a motion for that.
recommend doing
Yeah,
that.
motion to suspend the rules, that you would waive the first read. This would be considered the first and second for the purpose of passage for tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second on that? Discussion. Okay. Any discussion on that?
Yes, I disagree with suspending the rules. Let's say if somebody wants to comment the next time around, then they're done. They can't comment. So I'm against suspending the rules just because of that reason alone.
There is one consideration you might want to make, and you don't have to change your mind, of course, you're an independent
you.
person. That's why you're elected. But because we are so close to the 4th of July, that if we do not ban the sale, it only happens one day a year. If you can't shoot off fireworks on the one day that it's allowed, then, you can't sell on that day. But if we don't pass this, the state law says that you have to wait a whole year. It's a 1 year, to change a fireworks.
Before it's
So
enforced.
this doesn't even change it for this year. This changes it for next year. And, anyway,
And if the date goes past the July 4th this year, then it won't impact next year's July
It'll be
4th either. It would be
28, yeah.
2028.
I understand that. I still stick by my point. And unless you had a special meeting between now and then you could pass it at that time, before the 4th of July. Then that's your other option to do. But that's my stance.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable bypassing the rules and legislative mechanisms in place just to get this passed.
I do feel like this clarifies something that just needs to be clarified. It's not changing the rule. It's just clarifying what's going to help with public safety.
I agree.
sense it, yeah.
I understand it that way as well.
Very- Well, I appreciate all those comments. We do have a motion and a second on the table, so let's just go ahead and take a vote then, if there's no further comment. All in favor
Aye.
and opposed?
Okay,
Okay. And do we have, I didn't get your vote, council member. Ray Abbott. Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay. So, we do have 4 votes, so that does pass.
fair enough, and thank you for hearing me out.
How else?
Right, the rules have been suspended, so now it's
It's rare that we do that. So now we're gonna read the ordinance and send it over that it's passed.
Yep, thank you, everyone.
Just to read it, it's not passed, we suspended the rules, now we need to read it.
Second, based on the motion. City of Medical Lake, Spokane County,
Got it.
Washington.
Go ahead.
It's number 1148, an ordinance of the city of Medical Lake, Washington, amending chapters 4.18 fireworks and chapter 5.10 fireworks of the Medical Lake Municipal Code, providing for the effective date thereof and other matters properly related thereto.
Oh,
So then I move to approve the second read. Yeah, because we suspended the rules to make it the second read.
I thought that it was all one. That's
Yeah.
how I done it in the past. I thought we already did that because we suspended,
Oh,
acknowledged the.
Reading it the record.
Reading it into the record.
You're just reading it in the record. We've already voted on it.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So motion passes because once you made the motion to make it one instead of two, that was already done. So first and, the second counts as the first and second, and you voted on it.
I don't know.
That's how it works. That is how it works.
My notes, and I could have had it wrong, my notes show that the motion was to suspend the rules, not to approve.
That's what I have.
Now, what I
That's-
said
that's
was
correct.
that you waived the first counts as the second. And the motion would be that the second counts as the first and second for the passage. And he said so moved. So that's how I said it. But if you want to make it super clear, we can take a second vote
I think we could, let's just do a second. vote.
Yeah, I
just do it
for
easy.
the sake of
Yeah.
clarity.
Sure. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Move to approve the resolution as a second read.
second read motion. Do we have a
Second.
second? Second for the second read, okay.
Discussion.
Any discussion? I'm not gonna forget the discussion. I know I'm trying to rush this, but tired. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And any opposed? Okay, so that time we got
Thank you.
5 on the second read and 1 opposed. Okay. Perfect.
No, it was next.
Like all six.
Yeah, he voted for it.
Everybody's for it.
Did
Was
you
it
say
unanimous?
aye on the second read?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand corrected.
Hey, you're
It's
good.
just opposition to the walks. Yeah, which makes sense.
It's almost like Robert Michael was about this.
Yes.
He just stupid.
I
I
have
think we had to.
here if anyone would like.
Is that the 19th? The 19th.
Okay.
All right, so we have the passage of ordinance 1148. And now we have no emergency ordinances, thankfully. No upcoming agenda items noted with the council. Last opportunity for interested citizens comments. It looks like we still have Miss Nichols, who was trying to make a comment earlier and okay, we wore her down, so we'll have to hear her comments next time. I apologize, I hope it wasn't our system. And anyway, looking for a motion to conclude, please.
Well, moved. Good.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.